This K&N air intake system is designed to increase vehicle horsepower and acceleration by reducing restriction in the intake path. K&N power testing showed an estimated power gain of 12 horsepower at 4,623 RPM with this air intake installed on a 1997 Jeep Wrangler with a 4.0-liter engine. Actual results will vary depending on the condition of the vehicle, mileage, weather, and other variables. With the air intake installed, we ran the vehicle on the dyno to test the sound comparison versus the stock intake. The intake kit includes components that have been designed or matched to the needs of these vehicles to produce a safe horsepower increase. Detailed installation instructions are included with this kit. The tools needed for the install are shown. Turn off the ignition and disconnect the negative battery cable. Detach the crankcase vent hose from the stock intake tube. Loosen the hose clamp on the intake tube at the throttle body. On vehicles equipped with temp sensors, depress the temperature sensor electrical connection locking tab. Then pull on the connector to disconnect the connection. Release the 5 over-center clips that retain the airbox top to the airbox base. On vehicles equipped with temp sensors, lift the temperature sensor locking tab while twisting the sensor counterclockwise to remove the sensor from the tube. Remove the sealing O-ring from the temperature sensor. Detach the intake tube from the throttle body and remove the entire upper air intake assembly. Loosen and remove the 3 nuts that retain the airbox base to the inner fender apron. Remove the airbox base. Install trim seal onto the heat shield. Some cutting and trimming will be necessary to achieve best fit. Attach a rubber-mounted stud provided to the L bracket using the hardware provided, but do not tighten completely at this time. Loosen and remove the upper radiator shroud retaining bolt. Install the L bracket using the bolt removed in the previous step. Attach the second rubber-mounted stud into the lower airbox mounting point using the hardware provided. Assemble the saddle and L bracket using the hardware provided. Attach the saddle bracket assembly to the heat shield using the hardware provided, but do not tighten completely at this time. Install the heat shield assembly. Secure the heat shield to the rubber-mounted studs using the hardware provided. Attach the silicone hose to the throttle body using the provided hose clamp. Install the K&N intake tube. On vehicles equipped with temp sensors, position the temperature sensor electrical connector next to the K&N intake tube for the best fit, then mark the location to be drilled. Remove the K&N intake tube from the vehicle and drill a 3/4 inch hole at the position marked in step 19A. Next, install the provided grommet into the drilled hole. Install the temperature sensor into the grommet. Secure the intake tube to the saddle bracket using the hose clamp provided. Tighten the hose clamp on the silicone hose at the intake tube. Then fit the air filter assembly onto the K&N intake tube and secure with the provided hose clamp. Detach the crankcase vent hose from the vent fitting on the valve cover. Attach the vent hose provided onto the vent fitting on the valve cover and the K&N intake tube. On vehicles equipped with temp sensors, reconnect the temperature sensor electrical connection. Reattach the vehicle's negative battery cable. Double check to make sure everything is tight and properly positioned before starting the vehicle. The included CARB exemption sticker must be visible under the hood so that an emissions inspector can see it when the vehicle is required to be tested for emissions. It will be necessary for all K&N high-flow air intake systems to be checked periodically for realignment, clearance, and tightening of all connections. Failure to follow the above instructions or proper maintenance may void warranty.